In the 18th century, economist Thomas Malthus visited Norway. At that time, it was a poor country with harsh conditions, limited resources, and an isolated population. Things worsened in the following decades as war and famine devastated the economy. Yet, incredibly, Norway is now one of the world's richest, happiest, and most democratic nations. So, how did this huge turnaround happen in just a few decades? Why is Norway becoming the world's richest country? Let's answer this in today's video. Even as we shift towards cleaner energy sources, oil remains essential for the foreseeable future. Oil and gas currently generate a large portion of the world's energy. Many assume the reason behind Norway's transformation is oil. While Norway does have oil reserves, many other oil-rich countries suffer from poverty, inequality, and human rights abuses. Venezuela has a poor economy relative to their resources. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iran, Iraq, and UAE have problems with human rights abuses and inequality. Libya has total anarchy, and Russia hasn't been much dominant in recent years. This suggests a direct correlation between large oil reserves and problems with democracy. Economists call this phenomenon the oil curse. So, the question remains, how did Norway achieve its remarkable success? Now you know sudden oil wealth, like a lottery win, can pose problems. Because nations pumped with oil money often cut taxes that increase the spending of their citizens. This reliance on booming oil revenues overshadows other industries of that nation. Increased demand for the local currency boosts citizens' buying power abroad, but hurts domestic manufacturing. Whether elected or dictators, politicians often promise greater spending today, rather than saving for the future. This leads to government corruption and wealth ending up in the hands of a chosen few, while hurting the average citizen. But Norway remains a unique exception to this oil curse. Norway's economy thrived after discovering oil, unlike other oil-rich nations. Noble political stance. Norway's path differed from many nations due to its strong emphasis on welfare, education, and public industry. While its small size and reliance on trade made it vulnerable to global shifts in the early 20th century, neutrality in both world wars couldn't shield it entirely. The German invasion and occupation of 1940-1945 was particularly devastating. After the war, Norway rebuilt its economy with help from international organizations like the U.S. Marshall Plan. The Labour Party led Norway on a social democratic path, with a powerful public sector and centralized planning. Yet, they also fostered healthy private competition. This combination fueled strong, reliable economic growth from 1945 to 1975. High taxes funded excellent education, leading to a skilled workforce, a robust social safety net, low inequality, and minimal unemployment. This period was impressive, but it was not what made Norway the economic powerhouse it is today. The Black Gold Rush. By the 1960s, Norway was an average European nation in terms of wealth. Yet, change was coming. The discovery of natural gas in the Netherlands led to speculation about oil in the North Sea. The question of ownership arose, but Norway claimed its rights to these waters. Though skeptical about finding oil on Eurasian continental plates, the Norwegian government began selling exploration licenses. Phillips Petroleum took on the challenge, drilling repeatedly without success. Due to contract terms, they made one final, deeper attempt. Finally, in 1969, they struck massive amounts of North Sea oil. A gold rush followed. Within a decade, Norway was a leading oil producer. The oil sector boomed, creating high-paying jobs and transforming coastal towns. Billions flowed into Norway's economy, forever changing its fortunes. We have heard this story about oil-rich nations, but Norway took a different path. Progressive state mandates. Before its oil discovery, Norway was a relatively poor country reliant on exporting raw materials like timber and fish. However, they had developed a strong shipping industry, which fostered global trade and technology expertise. Importantly, Norway's robust parliamentary system, born from its fight for independence, promoted widespread political power, social reforms, and a system of checks and balances. These elements formed a solid foundation for managing future wealth. Norway's rugged landscape offered vast sources of cheap hydroelectric power that fueled its early industrialization. However, foreign companies controlling much of this power were unacceptable to the new government. They wanted resources to benefit Norwegians, so they passed a law limiting foreign ownership and preventing monopolies. This focus on national control would later prove vital. Meanwhile, advances in transportation like railways, roads, and better communication reduced and Norway's isolation from Europe. These converging factors triggered the country's rapid economic growth and industrialization. Today, the fund is the world's largest, owning a significant percentage of global public companies. At its peak value, it was valued $1.3 trillion. Each Norwegian citizen could have theoretically received $250,000. Norway's massive oil wealth fuels a strong social safety net with healthcare, education, and support for struggling families. Still, Norway has high taxes, but Norwegians happily accept it for the benefits. Success depends on unique factors like abundant oil reserves and a pre-existing focus on public services. Oil-rich nations often struggle as leaders prioritize short-term gains over long-term infrastructure and education investments. This contrasts starkly with Norway, where oil revenues were invested wisely. In the end, economics is about managing scarce resources. While luck plays a role, nations thrive when they make far-sighted, responsible choices with their resources. And Norway's model offers lessons in responsible resource management and long-term economic planning. Which other resource-rich nations should learn from Norway's example? Let us know in the comments. To get more videos from the world of economies, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We will see you in the next one.